It's the video, the ones I hate talking about because it hurts my wallet, but today I want to talk to you guys about how it cost me $13,000 to make 400 wheel horsepower. Now, before I even get into this video, I fully want to say that there are much cheaper ways to make this kind of power than the route that I went. Remember, keep in mind that when I set out to do this, I wanted to do it on stock block. I wanted to do it as reliably as possible. And I'm a little bit of a brand snob and I go for higher end quality parts. So keep in mind all of those things when we're going through this. And yes, I know I could have made significantly more horsepower with that amount of money if I bought a built block, rotated turbo setup, and just a couple other supporting mods to go with that. But this is the route that I wanted to go, and this is what I decided to do. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna go over the exhaust system, the fuel system, air intake system, cooling, the whole shebang, everything parts-wise that I've spent on the engine only. This is only going to be covering the engine. I've spent a lot more money, suspension, drivetrain, wheels, tires, interior, all that good stuff. So we're only covering engine components today for those that do want to do a similar build to this, but do keep in mind that there are other ways to make this type of power for cheaper. You can do this a lot cheaper than the way that I'm doing it. So let's get into it. Let's hop over to the engine bay and we'll start going over this stuff. All right, now I want to reiterate this again. There is a significantly cheaper way to do this. This is just the route that I went. So we're going to start by going into the exhaust and just working our way around all the parts I have on the engine. I'll also link all these down below. They're to multiple sites: Amazon, Rally Sport Direct, Mod Garage, and a couple other places. Some of the manufacturers directly, but let's just get into it. So for exhaust systems, I use the Killer Bee equal length headers. Not a cheap header. Comes in at about $1,299, but I mean, you pay for what you get when it comes to exhaust parts. Next up on the list is the Grim Speed 44mm external wastegate up pipe. I think that was about $350. That was exactly $350. Paired with that, I also have the Tile MVR 44mm external wastegate. That one comes in at another $400. It's not cheap at all. But continuing with the exhaust, for downpipes, I run the Cobb catted downpipe. That is that one's an expensive one. $650 for a downpipe. Not cheap. You can get a catless downpipe much cheaper if you are planning to go external wastegate. For catbacks, I use the ETS Extreme catback. That guy comes in at a whopping $1,139. Hello. So continuing with the trend of exhaust components, for turbo, I have the FP Blue turbo. It is the bare basic trim FP Blue, no fancy upgrades, nothing like that. That guy was not cheap either. And that FP Blue comes in at a staggering $1,299, which actually isn't too bad for a turbo. So $1,299 for the FP Blue. Now, continuing off of the turbo, intercoolers. I run ETS's 3.5-inch front mount intercooler with their black piping. I don't need anything fancy like that. Gets the job done, gets the air to where it needs to go. So the front mount came in at another $1,389. So a lot of these, like forward most parts that we're talking about, are most of the expensive components. Now, like I said, this is also just engine stuff, not like drivetrain mounts or anything like that, but you get what I'm saying. So continuing off of the turbo, I run the parent turbo inlet, the Cobb SF intake with box as well. SF intake, $225. The box itself, another $165, and then the parent turbo inlet came in at another $220. Not the cheapest, but continuing with that, this wasn't needed. I wanted to get it anyways. I also have an Omni 4-bar map sensor that I run. That was another $116. Just gives me some room for growth in the future when we want to turn up the boost a little bit. So we also did a hybrid speed density setup on the car. So I am running the Visconti tuning hybrid speed density, which essentially just relocates that IAT sensor up here into the intercooler piping. So that way the ECU is seeing more accurate IATs versus what the math is actually reading and telling it. Coming off of the cold side charge piping, I have the Cobb XLE bypass valve. I've had that on the car for quite a while. That was not a cheap bypass valve. Let me tell you that there are cheaper ones on the market, but the Cobb bypass valve came in at a good $325, but that thing will hold for quite a while and I shouldn't have to buy another one for a very long time. If not ever. I'm probably never gonna have to buy another one. So moving down underneath the intake manifold, I have the IAG TGV deletes. They are the black ones. You guys saw me install those not too long ago. But the IAG TGV deletes were not cheap either. Those came in at about $279, but they are much cheaper than a lot of the other ones out there like Process West, which I think those ones are around $480 or something like that. Paired with those TGV deletes, we also have the IAG fuel rails and the ID 1050s. Now the fuel rails, not too bad, $189. The injectors were about $539, so injectors are not the cheapest thing to buy. But coming off of the fuel rails, I also went with IAG's PTFE Flex Fuel line kit. So it essentially removed unnecessary lines that I didn't want running around everywhere. But that fuel line kit is not cheap, let me tell you that now. That fuel line was $499. But I mean, you gotta pay to play. IAG makes some really good stuff and it'll last I'm gonna be honest, probably won't ever have to swap out fuel lines again. From the fuel lines going up to the fuel pressure regulator, I went with the Aeromotive A1000. It is one that IAG suggests using for their fuel line kit. So no complaints, I like it. It comes with a mount, it mounts straight up to the firewall, so that way you don't have to Velcro it to anything or try to zip tie it up. So it is a quality fuel pressure regulator. Continuing with the fuel system, I have Cobb's ethanol sensor kit. It's pretty much the only one on the market people buy for these cars. I haven't really seen anyone else using other ethanol kits unless it's like Delicious Tuning. I think those are really the only two people out there that are making ethanol setups for these cars. Now with the fuel pressure regulator, you're gonna need a fuel pressure sensor also. So I went with Cobb's fuel pressure sensor just to be able to set fuel pressure accurately with the access port. So you're not setting fuel pressure with the access port, you're just monitoring it on the access port. You actually set fuel pressure on the actual fuel pressure regulator. But that fuel pressure sensor came in at about another, what, $225? Not the cheapest, but it does get the job done. And then to kind of wrap up the fueling system, in the fuel tank, I use a DW300C fuel pump. It's honestly not too bad. It's a drop-in kit, came in at about $156. Now I was looking into getting an AEM pump and I started looking into it a little more, and the DW300C actually flows at 340 liters per hour, just like the AEM 340, or the AEM 340 does. So when it comes to fuel pumps, if you want something bigger, you're gonna have to look around a little bit, but the 300C did allow me to hit 400 wheel horsepower on E85, so it is still a pretty efficient fuel pump. Now to top off the boost system a little bit more, I use Cobb's 3-port boost controller. It was about $115. Had that on the car since the first tune that we got last year. It's a boost controller. They pretty much all do the same thing if you're looking at one. For some of the engine longevity, reliability stuff, as any Subaru owner or as you guys know, I run the IAG Street Series air oil separator right now. I have the competition one sitting in here in the garage. I may install it, I may not entirely sure at the moment, but I do have it. But for right now, the Street Series is what is on the car. The IAG Street Series comes in at about $400. Not too bad for an AOS, actually not too bad for a real quality AOS either. IAG knows what they're doing. They make really good products. That's why I have a lot of IAG stuff going on the car. Like if you notice a trend, it's pretty much IAG, Cobb, ETS, Killer B. I think that's really the theme of the engine here going on. With other reliability stuff, I run the Mishimoto XLINE radiator. Just helps with cooling efficiency of the car, so that way you're not overworking it and you can really get on the car a little bit more in the summertime when it's hot to help bring those temps down. But not too bad, $287 for the Mishimoto XLINE radiator. Some of the other spendy things when it comes to the reliability aspect of the car is I run Killer Bee's oil pan, Killer Bee's windage straight, and Killer Bee's oil pickup. Now that combo itself, I think you can buy it for around $700, but individually if you're just looking, the pan's gonna run you about $470, the windage tray is gonna run you about $80, and the oil pickup is gonna run you about $150. Now there's not too much else going on here in the engine bay. I use the cylinder 4 cooling mod from Get a Dom Tune. I think that came out to about $80. And then a couple other small things. I have the PTP turbo blanket, which was about $135 just to help with heat control on the turbo. And then the Grimspeed 3mm phenolic spacers, which those came out to about $50 also. Now, getting the car tuned was also more pricey. So I got 2 tunes. I got a pump gas tune and a flex tune. So together, those 2 tunes with shop time and a couple other accessories that I needed to get taken care of on the car came out to about $1,200, which puts our running total at about $13,329, I believe. So it's not the cheapest, I'll tell you that now. But Like I said, one of my goals when I set out to do this was to push the stock block as far as I could, and I think we've been doing pretty well so far. We hit 401 wheel horsepower, 387 foot-pounds of torque on a Mustang dyno, down at XLINE Tuning. They do an awesome job, but I couldn't be happier with the way that I built the engine. Now, something else to keep in mind with all... Hang on, let me grab the camera actually. Let's do this a little different. Now, something that I also want you guys to be aware of, now with this setup, it is fully capable of making more power. So when the short block does decide to go, a lot of the parts that I would have to buy later on to make more horsepower, I already have on the car. So in a way, I've somewhat kind of future-proofed making more horsepower a little bit easier later on. So this setup is perfectly capable of pushing more. We had to pull it off just because we ran into some of the fueling issues. We were running out of cam as well, but honestly, I'm extremely happy with the setup. I wouldn't have built the car any different than I built it now. Saying that I spent $13,000 to make 400 wheel horsepower seems outrageous, I know, but my car, I'm happy with it. It's taken me, it doesn't happen overnight either. It's not like I spent 13 grand in a couple weeks or a couple months. It's taken me over 2 years to get all of this. Well, it's taken me almost 2 years to get the car to where it is now. So I'm personally extremely happy with the way the car's been built. Now, there's gonna be people that come in here and say, oh my God, you can do this for $3,000, $4,000, whatever like that. And if you can, by all means, do it. But just know that when you start buying some of these lower end parts, you're starting to sacrifice reliability of the part itself and of the car. Keep in mind that when it comes to parts, you pay for what you get. If you want something that's gonna last a very long time and hold power reliably, you're gonna want more high-end parts. But don't get me wrong, there are other brands out there that are significantly like on par with a lot of the quality here and significantly cheaper. I just don't want people to get caught up entirely in the numbers, but that's how I ended up spending a little over $13,000 just to make 400 wheel horsepower on the stock block. Now, that's really gonna wrap it up for this video. I didn't want to spend too much time going into everything with it. I'm happy with the car. It's all that matters to me. So if it helped you, I know a lot of you guys want to road map off of my car and kind of build off of my build list to do something very similar. And by all means, if you want to, do so. It's your car, build it the way you want. Just be happy with the car. So I'm gonna end it here. If you guys liked the video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, turn it blue, like the Subaru. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you wanna be, because we still got more STI stuff coming up and the BRZ way out there is gonna be getting turbocharged in the next couple weeks, go ahead, shoot me a subscribe. You can do it like right down in one of this somewhere on this side of the screen. Don't know where I'm gonna put it yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.